let's just sew whatever.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making the Esme crossbody from Bagstock. It's so cute. I definitely expected this bag to be a little bit bigger, but I'm not upset at the size. I think it's a great little everyday crossbody, and I could see this being a really fun make out of like leather or something too, or like a distress saddlebag look. I used mid-weight luxe vinyl for the print and the exterior that are available on my website, and all of the hardware is as well. I did omit the zipper panel across the top. Besides the instructions being laid out a little differently, I also ran out of time, so that's okay. But I think the inside is small enough that you don't need it, but it is nice to have that extra layer of security. If you do decide to do the zipper panel, I would cut it out of a thinner cotton fabric so that it's not adding a ton of bulk to the top of your bag. Other than that, let's get into making it. Let's get started on making our Esme crossbody bag. I'm going to start by working on the strap. I am creating a double-sided strap, so it's going to take me a little bit longer than the pattern strap. But I mean, this is something you can change any strap on any bag. You could also just use webbing for the strap on this bag, 1 inch or 1.5. I think that would also look just as good. I just thought, why not kind of class it up a little bit by using double-sided strap. So I'm using 1/2 inch wide double-sided tape on the wrong side of my vinyl, and I am lining it up at that 1 inch center line. I cut my main panel, main vinyl color to 2 inches wide, and then I have my accent at 1 3/4. Maybe I did 1.5. I don't remember, but either one of those, so long as it's a little bit smaller than the back side, you should be good. And I am just lining that up in the center. And if you feel like maybe you don't have the hand strength to do this, you can also use a seam roller. Okay, so there's that. If you want to top stitch that, you could, but I'm just gonna let that tape hold everything together and then work on this one. I would say don't tape this like overnight. Your tape may come undone. You can add a strip of like grosgrain ribbon or waterproof canvas to your strap to make sure it doesn't stretch over time. I kind of feel like with this method it would be okay. I'm also using a vinyl that has like literally no stretch to it, so I'm like probably fine. There's something called the Triad Strap Pack, which most of you probably already know about. It is from Lavender and Twine, and it is just the way it sounds. 3 straps in one little pattern. It shows you how to make different straps, different techniques, so that you could, have those tools to decide what kind of strap you want to make for a bag. Because, as I like to say, patterns are really just like a blank canvas for your creativity. A lot of the instructions are suggestions. Not really, but you know, like pockets, things like that. You can make those little adjustments for yourself. All right, you may want to use a 1/4 inch wide double-sided tape to help you stick these together. I don't have any 1/4 inch wide right here, so I'm going to use 1/2 inch. If your machine is not a fan of double-sided tape, then I don't know what to tell you. My strap is a little twisty. If you start from the center and work your way out, that normally should not happen, but once I get these sewn together, it shouldn't be bad. So I've got the backing, the tape backing in my hand, and I'm pulling as I get ready to center and place my accent. Yeah, this looks fantastic. Ooh. One of my vinyls is just a little bit bigger, so what you could do is just fold that over when you start to top stitch. And then we're gonna stitch at a stitch length of 5 at 1/8 of an inch from the edge of our accent. Gorgeous. So now we're going to finish off the strap by grabbing our slide adjuster first. And we want to take it so that the outside fabric is on the outside edge. So we've got the wrong side face up. And then I'm going to do a little box stitch around my slide adjuster. Trim our fabric. Nope, trim our threads. Okay. Wrong side is face up. I'm going to grab one of my snap hooks. Wrap that over the center bar. And then our last snap hook, we'll wrap this under like this. And then you can sew this in place if you want, or we can just use a rivet. I think I'm just gonna use a rivet, so it's really nice and pretty, but oh, I love that combo, so pretty. Okay, moving on. We can get started on our actual pattern pieces now. We've got everything fused. So we'll get started with our exterior front pocket. And our center panels here. I am going to use a flip lock. These are ones that I carry on my website and that I designed. So I just want to take the little center piece out for now, as well as the stabilizer, the washer. There we go, washer. Okay. One and a half inch down from the top, centered. And then we'll use this backing plate as a guide, center that. And then I'm also going to put some of that fusible fleece behind here, just to add, it's just a little scrap, but I want to add some durability. And we'll seam rip that. We'll insert our hardware. And then add our washer. Okay, and then looks like putting them in, hugging that washer is probably the best way to bend them. So it's nice and secure and flat. Super cute. Okay, and then it's going to be a 1/2 inch seam allowance, right sides together. And then it's going to be kind of difficult to put your interfacing on after. I'm sure she'll have some tips. Nope, that is not 1/2 inch. That is 1/4. I just looked at the 2 and I was like, here we go. Nope, 1/2 inch. Okay. I've become such a 3/8 inch lover for my seam allowance that I'm like, wait, what? Okay, no biggie though. Turn the panels, fold that out of the way. And we're going to line everything up, top stitch and baste together. Okay, and now we're going to lay that on our back, or the back, the center panel of this piece. And you can go ahead and do like a quick little stay stitch, little baste. And then we can put the left and right panels together. Could use double-sided tape to help you hold all that, or just clips. Remember, you can't really use pins with vinyl. But this bag would be super cute out of all like quilting cotton with a little bit of fleece and give it that like homemade vibe. That would be so good. Okay, 1/2 inch seam allowance. and then stitch it down. Okay. 1/2 inch. There's nothing wrong with 1/2 inch. I've just become such a lover of 3/8 that it's hard. Okay. So I'm just gonna stitch those both on, and then I'll open that up and top stitch. Right down the accent panel. Adorable. I'm obsessed already. Alrighty. And now we're going to need to fuse the stabilizer. Okay, there are no tips for fusing that, but I've got my little mini iron going. 1/2 inch from all edges. I'm going to start at the bottom and kind of work my way around. I'm leaving my hardware to lay off the edge of the ironing board, and I'll just kind of circle around it. And then remember, it takes about 10 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I am not leaving my iron down in one specific place for too long. I'm continuously moving it around. Like, I'm keeping it in that general location, but I don't want to end up melting the vinyl. Got it pretty well fused. So I don't really have it fused right there, but I think it'll be okay. We're just gonna let that cool off for a minute. I probably should have marked my centers before I interfaced, but yeah, we'll leave that to cool. Okay, and then it does mention if you would rather use a magnetic snap, you can do that. Why did I clip those together? Okay, this should be 9.5, yes, okay. So on our exterior, we're gonna add this little strip. We're gonna measure, fold the long edges of the flap 1/2 inch towards the backside and press. So I think I'm gonna measure 1 inch. Okay. And then we're gonna fold to that line so that they're folded by 1/2 inch. Is that right, you think? Yeah. So we're going to tape next to that line near the outside edge. You could completely omit this part of the flap if you wanted, but I really, really think creates a nice effect. Kind of ties it all together. Okay. More 1/2 inch tape. I did not interface this piece, but I'm using vinyl mid-weight vinyl, so it's not a big deal. Excuse you. Folding my flap in half. Just kind of snip out my centers. And then this is a 2-inch wide piece now. So I'm going to line this up with my ruler and set this right in between the two, lining up that straight edge and laying it down. Let's see, there's about 4 inches on that side and about 4 inches on that side. Yep, okay. So cute. Don't forget to stitch it down. You can add 1 row of stitching to this if you want, or you could add 2. I think whatever floats your boat will look really good. All right. And then we can put right sides together and sew it at 1/2 inch. We're going to trim the seam allowance down and then top stitch. And then if you wanted to use a magnetic snap, now is the time to insert it. I'm going to use the twist lock. So in the end, I'll be stabbing a hole through it, breaking my own heart. All right, I'm going to switch my stitch length down to a 4 for the construction. And if you cut your interfacing out well, you should just be following right along that edge. I am only going to trim along the flap and the curves. I'm going to do 1 more little top stitch down here over that flap accent piece so that my stitches don't come undone. But I think I've trimmed well enough around the curve that I don't need to make little snips. Let me flip that out. And I feel really happy with the amount of structure in the flap with that fusible fleece. Okay, I'm rolling my lining fabric under. Rolling the seams in between my fingers so that I've got it completely flat from itself. And then we're going to bump that back up to 5 so that my top stitching is consistent. So cute. Alrighty. Now we're gonna grab our back bottom panel. Well, our exterior is like almost done. It's crazy. We're gonna center this. Oh, okay, it wants us to start by, oh, okay. I went way too far ahead. All right, back bottom, lining of the flap facing up. Let's go ahead and fold that in half. Center. I'm surprised I didn't snip the center of this already. Okay, lining face up. So that the exteriors are right sides together, and you can base that, but then we can just go ahead and add this, and this should be right sides together with the trapezoidal piece facing down so that when you flip it up, the shape is correct. And this would be a really cute place to add a woven label under the seam so that when you like lift up the flap, you see a little message or something. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Right next to, but not through, that Decaville light. And then we're going to fold that up and top stitch so the flap is pointing up. There we go. We'll fold that in half. Nice and slow. There we go. So that my center is marked. And then this piece is pretty much ready to go as well. I've let my interfacing set for quite some time. We'll mark the centers, the bottom as well. Okay, voila. And they should be relatively the same size. Yeah. Oh, it's so cute. I just love these colors together. I'm obsessed. All right, let's move on. I think we're moving on to the lining, but I kind of want to just add my gusset, but I guess that'll be like final. I'm going to start with my slip pocket. I changed mine up a little bit from the pattern. I put wrong sides together. I don't think that extra little bit of height is going to disturb the pattern, so I'm not going to worry about trimming it, but if you are worried about it, you could go ahead and trim the top edge. Then I'm just going to fold my vinyl down around the top. I did already use double-sided tape to put these pieces together. But yeah, I think that's going to be really cute. And then I'll just top stitch along that top edge. I'll add a little woven label. It says, "You look amazing." Evermore. And then I'll go ahead and base this to the lining panel. I don't think we're going to add any dividing lines to it. No, no dividing lines. Good. Nice little slip pocket. I have my center marked at the top and the bottom for when we put everything together later, because we do have a zipper panel. What are you doing? She's crazy. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and attach my lining pieces to my zipper. The bottom should be shorter, and one of my pieces is a little bit shorter accidentally. So 1/4 inch seam allowance to attach that zipper lining. And then I like to open that up and top stitch that down. So that it doesn't try to lift up. And then we'll add our other lining piece. I could definitely see myself wanting to prep these for a craft show or Comic-Con. It's such a cute size. I'm not even done with it, and I'm just like, it's so cute. All right, so we're gonna measure 3/4 of an inch in along all sides of our overlay. Facing. Okay, attach that, yep. Okay, and then this gets placed 1 1/4 inch down and centered. Just a little snip. 1 1/4. And these clips are long enough to hold it on the side so it doesn't move. That way we don't have to use any double-sided tape or anything. And then you can switch your stitch length to a 4 or a 3.5. And I do not sew around the full box. I like to do just 2 parallel lines. And then we'll cut that box open. Right next to the stitch lines. And then we'll turn that, and then I still have my iron on, so I'll go ahead and iron this together, nice and flat. Where is the kitten? I'm always worried I'm gonna roll over her with these wheels and they would hurt her very badly. All right. So I'm not using any steam, and I'm just gonna use the heat for a little bit. The fabric will hold up just fine. Probably don't want to iron the back side of this waterproof cotton, but it would probably be okay. Oh yeah, it's fine. Just minimal steam, if you can help it. Again, no kitten. Could also use a seam roller additionally. With that heat. All right, and now it's time for double-sided tape. And I'm lining up one side first and then pressing it down. Okay, looks good. I've got my zipper pull way out of my seam allowance to start. You can bump your stitch length back up. Make sure that's nice and even. All right, and then I'm getting close to the end of my zipper, and I know my zipper pull will fit in between this little 1/2 inch opening so that I can close that up. Finish that stitching. And then this bag does get turned through the zipper pocket. So keep that in mind. I'm going to trim my excess zipper tape so it's out of the seam allowance. Whee! And then we're going to cut this so that it is the same. Crazy how much extra there is. Like, what can I save this for? But you could add like a little clip to the lining or something, a little key clip. All right, so what I like to do is I will fold this up and out of the way, and I'll start at the bottom, kind of at an angle, and then come up. Seal that off, and then trim the excess down at the bottom. And repeat. And I'll fold that out of the way and line those up. And back stitch. And then we'll fold this flat. And then you can iron this if you'd like. May as well, my iron's on. Okay, feels nice. Put that in my done pile. And now, zipper panel? Yeah? Okay. What? That's so weird. Why is it so out of order? Yeah, I'm gonna do my zipper panel so that I can finish my lining. She does have you. Wait a minute. Where does it go? Oh, okay, okay. Well, that gets added at like the very tippity top. Okay, all right. We'll wait. As much as I want to get it done right now, I'll wait. Like, I'll go ahead and add my gusset to my lining. We'll finish that up. Can't believe I didn't snip my centers of the gusset. start with one side. If you feel like the materials you've used on the exterior are a bit much, you can leave the bottom of your gusset open next to the open zipper pocket bottom, and then turn it through the lining gusset, and then close that up through the zipper pocket. I know that sounded confusing, but it can help. Honestly, if you did not want to make the zipper placket, you could omit it. This bag does seem small enough that that flap would hold enough. And part of me is like, I'm running out of time today, and I could omit the zipper placket. But also, I think people prefer the option, and I cut it, so I'll do it. And we're just gonna add little snips into that curve. You'll see that it doesn't match up. That's good, you don't want it to. That way it's a nice tight fit. It won't fit until you add those snips, and then you don't have any weird puckers. I beg you, don't embarrass me, little pucker. Okay. All right, and then I'm gonna guess that we're gonna start at that 1/2 inch seam allowance and increase just a little bit as we get towards the bottom of the lining to like 5/8. That way our lining is a nice snug fit. And then just make sure that you're coming back to that 1/2 inch as you get to the top. Back stitch. Looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and butterfly open the seam to start. And now we'll add the other side of our lining, lining up the center first, getting a couple clips along the bottom in place before the curve starts. And then lining up the top. And you want to make sure that you're sewing these in the same direction. So with the exterior lining, or no, with the lining flat, gusset up. Dang it. Come back. Baby, come back. Snips in the gusset. And if you're worried about getting your fingers too close as you keep those layers lined up, you can always use a little screwdriver. And then come on back to that 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then we'll trim that down in the bottom. Oh my gosh, it's precious. It's absolutely precious. All right, now we're gonna put our exterior together and then we'll work on the zipper panel. Everything in me is like, skip it, just skip it. You don't need it. All right, we're gonna fold these connectors into the center. They just kind of overlap that stabilizer. This one's stabilizer is a little shorter. I'm gonna retape it. I'm gonna top stitch it at 3/8 and then I'm gonna fold them. Double-sided tape on the wrong side. I'll fold this down and in. You could even use a little hidden strap connector on this if you wanted. That would be super cute. All right, and then this is gonna get placed 1.5 inches, down from the center on the top. I need to stop grabbing that. One of these days I'm gonna accidentally cut it and I'll be so sad. And then I do think I'm gonna end up adding a little rivet to this piece as well. It'll just kind of tie in my crossbody strap. Okay, I'll leave these tails nice and long, tie those off. I'm starting at the bottom, starting at the bottom to come up to the top, and that's going to make it so that my foot, my sewing machine foot, is telling me the limit of how close I can get to the hardware. It's kind of working. Pulling my threads to the back. And then I'm going to tie those off and rivet. I am running out of time, so I'm not going to do the zipper panel. But I also feel like it'll just be easier without it. So I'm okay with this. So maybe in the end I will have regretted that choice. So I'm gonna snip my center. We'll go ahead and start with our front panel. I mean, who knows, maybe I still will. Maybe I won't even be able to finish this today, so it doesn't matter. So I'm clipping everything together until I get to the bottom corner, and then I can add some little snips to help curve that out. My stitch length is still at a good construction stitch length, 4.5. Yep, that looks good. And then I'm just pushing on that snipped curve to place it where it needs to go. And we're gonna do a 1/2 inch seam allowance consistent on this panel. Nice and slow around the bottom curve. Making sure we don't get any weird puckers. And then make sure you backstitch at the top. And then I'm just going to trim away the bottom corner. And if you wanted to, you can add a second row of stitching, just like 1/8 of an inch in from that for stability, durability, and it'll help prevent seeing the stitches along that seam. Just make sure you've got really good, a decent quality vinyl that you're using, otherwise you might end up just perforating it, which would be no bueno. Okay, looks very good. All right. And then again, make sure you are clipping in the same direction as you did on the other. Clipping down. To the other side. Lining up that outside edge until I get to the bottom curve, and then I'm going to snip. Clip that together. And then this again is that 1/2 inch seam allowance. Just make sure that you're not sewing through your flap. then again, you can do that second row of stitching. And we'll trim that away. All right. So yeah, I'm not gonna do the zipper panel. I really think this bag is small enough that you don't need it. I'm gonna tuck this flap way down in there. Flatten that seam. Make sure all of my threads are down inside the bag. Okay. And then we're going to turn this right side out. And I prefer my zipper pocket to be on the back side of the bag. If you're doing the zipper panel, this is where you would have added that to the bag first and then added your lining, etc. But I do feel like the bulk of the zipper panel at the top might have been a bit much with the materials I selected, all the vinyl. So I'm okay with not doing it. My gut is saying, don't worry about it. Lining up those side seams, clipping everything back together. I'm really happy with the overall structure of the bag as well. I'm happy with my interfacing choices. I like the fleece and the gusset because there's still structure, but it's not so stiff, basically. All right, 1/2 inch seam allowance along the top. If you want to, you could baste it first using like 1/4 inch and then increase. If you have a cylinder arm, this is where that comes in handy. I do have one, but I really like to start a tutorial and finish a tutorial on the same machine. All right, I am gonna stitch around this twice because I've wobbled from a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. I'm like, dang it. All right, so now that everything is together, I can focus more on the edge of my fabric and the edge of my seam guide. Oh, thank you. Ran out of bobbin at the exact right time. Okay, and then we'll turn this. Evermore is playing with a Velcro wrap on one of my lights. Okay, she's walking away. So I like to start with what is furthest away. Ooh. Might be a lot with that deck of the light. So I'm grabbing the bottom gusset first if I can. Oh, goodness. Okay. Corner of the gusset first. Come on. There we go. That feels better. It's kind of like once you get it all past that zipper pocket, it's a little easier. Ah, there we go. Okay. Then we're going to roll this seam between our fingers, press our lining. Oh, there's my slip pocket. My hand was in the slip pocket. That makes sense. Oh yeah, this would have been way too much with a zipper panel in vinyl. I'm going to wait to close up my zipper pocket so that I can top stitch and then pull my threads through the seam. And then we'll let it rest and all those wrinkles will kind of relax away. You can also warm up your ironing board and that'll help, but I think it's so cute. Definitely does not need the zipper panel. I feel good about my choice. I have a new bobbin in, so we can start top stitching. And you want to start, if you're going to pull your threads like this, you want to start at one of the seams. And you could have flipped this bag so that the exterior was what you were top stitching on and it's not the bobbin side, but I have my tension pretty well tuned in, so I'm not too concerned. How did we break one? All right, and then we'll stop it at the same spot. Leave your threads nice and long so you have plenty to work with. We'll leave the zipper pocket open. during this time. I know that's hard. We're gonna pull our threads in to the lining. Got my needle here. I'm going to tie these off. And then I'll trim the one set. Put that through the needle. And then I'm going to poke it through my seam. Ow, ow. And then pull them down. Into the lining. And then I'll knot them again. Okay. Pull those down in there. This is not a curved needle. It has become a curved needle, but I feel like it works well. Okay. We'll just knot it all together. And then they're not going anywhere. Okay. And then we'll close up our turn hole. Pushing the corners of our zipper pocket down in there, making sure our zipper pocket sits nice. Pressing the lining down. And then we're gonna measure. I'm like, wait, why do I have pieces left? Oops. My stripe is crooked. I'm okay with it. It's fine. All right, let's see what the measurement was. 1.5. Okay, the mark should be either 6.5 or 1.5, and we're good. And that's going to be the middle of your hardware. And like there is definitely wiggle room for this. So if it's not exact, it's okay. And then what we're gonna do, make sure you have a magnet, just like a spare magnet to put all your screws on so you don't lose them. Well, I know it's somewhere, so there's that. Ah, found it. Good thing Evermore is not down here, or it would have been gone forever. Okay, so you can use plates, shaped plates. For this one, I don't really have anything, so I'm gonna punch a couple holes so that I know where to cut through. I can get my scissors in there. Okay. Ooh, you know what I'm gonna do actually? I'm gonna stitch around that because I can. That way my layers don't get loose. So I'm gonna just sew right along the marked edge inside of it. Because what I marked was the absolute edge of my metal piece, but I'm gonna need it to be just a little bit smaller than that. So that you're not seeing it from the other side. Okay. So now it's a little easier to cut. And the plate with the screws goes into the bottom. Dang it. Yeah, I still have to cut it a little bit smaller. Yeah. So I'm gonna stitch like 1/8 of an inch from there and cut right in between those lines, and that should be pretty perfect. And I would much rather cut too little than way too much. Lighter. Okay, how do we do this time? All right, that's perfect. Yes, absolutely perfect. Yep, yep. All right, so we're probably gonna wanna mark out, yeah, we're gonna need to mark where our screws go and hole punch that as well. I'll be right back. And there is no like top or bottom to this, really. There you go. It'll kind of bite down. Perfect. Oh, there's a little bit of plastic over that knob. You could leave on if you want, so that your customer is the one that kind of takes it off. Either way. There we go. I never added a nameplate or a name tag at all. That's fine. It's fine. They'll go on my website. Nobody will care. It's okay. So I think this bag is adorable. I definitely thought it would be a little bit bigger, but I'm not upset at the size. You could totally print this out at like 120% and have a really cute crossbody as well. I love the flap. I love the hardware. I love the way it comes together. I hope you grab this pattern and try it out. And let me know if you do, and I will see you all later. Bye. Blah, blah, blah.